Joseph,
Yes.
I believe, and I have reason to believe,
Okay.
there's a problem here with the SL codes that were used by the Houston Police Department.
You need to go to homicide.
Thank you.
Because you're a detective.
I'm a detective. So I've been studying the NIBRS manual that was issued by the Department of Justice and how
NIBRS?
which is the National Incident-Based Reporting System.
Oh, yes.
It's used in conjunction with UCR, which is what the older officers used on the Uniform Crime Reporting System.
Yeah.
Your UCR codes were transmuted into NIBRS, which is supposed to be a more detailed, kind of in-depth study of crimes committed and how they're cleared. So, for example, in homicides, right, under the UCR system, everything was reported as a homicide, and they waited for the case to be cleared as either a murder or not a murder.
Okay.
Right. But under NIBRS, they know that there are subcategories. For example, there's like intoxicated vehicular manslaughter.
Okay.
There's involuntary or voluntary manslaughter, and then you've got justifiable homicides, and you've got murder, right? So whenever you're investigating a crime, and these are being reported to the Department of Justice through the NIBRS systems, they're collecting this data to determine what your actual murder rate is, right? So they don't have to then go amend any statistics later, right? That's what they're trying to avoid by being more detailed up front. Okay. So where we've seen a problem is with sex assault investigations in Houston, most notably on the news seems to be focusing on that a lot. And this SL code was used in many different divisions, robbery division, sex crimes division. I think even juvenile was using it. But what we've been focusing on is the sex crimes investigations where, for example, if you had a rape kit that was taken and it was submitted to the Houston Forensic Science Center over there off Jefferson downtown, which is actually a group of civilians, I think.
Yeah, that's all civilian, yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a couple officers there, used to be.
So they'll take DNA from, a rape kit or whatever and run it through this CODIS system to determine if any DNA that is captured can be identified to a known suspect. All right. So apparently several cases actually had an identifiable suspect through DNA, but the case...
it was several, wasn't it? It was like 40.
Yeah, well, it was over 40.
Over 40?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those cases had been cleared, suspended for lack of manpower. Well, the problem I see is the department and the city of Houston brag about the fact that violent crime is down in Houston. But nobody seems to make the connection between this abuse of this SL code system and crime statistics going down. So my question to you is, just at first glance, do you think crime is down in Houston?
No. The actual crime?
Yeah.
No, the stats are down. No. But no, crime is going up.
Do you think there might be any relation between this use of an SL code and the published crime statistics for Houston?
Probably. I couldn't imagine it not affecting it.
Right. So under NIBRS, which is, again, the National Incident-Based Reporting System under the Department of Justice, when they compile statistics, it's the department sending them the statistics. They don't go out to the department to grab the statistics. Each department is responsible for reporting it into the system. Now, there's 2 or 3 classifications that are used in the NIBRS system. You either clear a call arrest or you clear it no leads, I think it is. Or
no leads.
Insufficient evidence or something to that effect.
Yeah, no leads.
And the SL code system would then put the crime or that incident into the category of insufficient evidence or no leads, and thus not a crime. Though there was a crime.
Well, no solvable crime, yeah.
Yeah, no solvable crime. And then my question becomes, is the department using, or are they fraudulently reporting statistics to the Department of Justice when using that code to classify an incident as something that has been suspended in the same manner as something that wasn't a crime in the first place? Because
just skewing the stats to make the crime go down. So,
yeah.
But I mean, isn't fraud usually
Well, listen,
to prevent people from some sort of money transaction, right?
Right. Well, so what I'm trying to say is under Title 18, Section 1343, which is fraud by wire, radio, or television. And I'm really focused on the wire fraud part because they're reporting these, over the internet or through the internet to the Department of Justice. Okay. If they're using these suppressed crime statistics in order to obtain federal funding for crime suppression purposes, and they justify the prior year's grant with the next year's grant by saying, well, the money you gave us helped us lower crime, so we need more money to keep crime down. And of course, you've got Democrats running the Department of Justice, you've got Democrats running the FBI, you've got Democrats in the White House, and you've got Democrats in Congress who are, helping approve this spending. And then you've got Democrats in Houston who are running it and Democrats in Harris County who are running it. And they're all working together. Oh yeah, here's more money because clearly crime is down. So the money we're giving you is working. Oh,
okay. That is definitely money.
Yeah. And so then if it's done under a false pretense to obtain that funding, and you transmit false data under the pretense of obtaining that money, that's wire fraud, right? So what I'm suggesting is somebody needs to call the FBI or the Department of Justice and ask them, have they relied on this SL code to rework the city of Houston's crime stats to report them as lower or artificially lower than what they otherwise would be? Right, because if you suspend a case for lack of manpower and you close it with the SL code, right, and you report that to the NIBRS system, and then you come back later and you go, and you send that off to, you realize, we made a mistake, oops, and you send it out for an investigation, and it turns out the statute of limitations prevents you from further investigating that crime. Well, then it ceases to be a crime.
Yes,
but I have found no indication where they've gone back to the NIBRS system and said, actually, that was a crime, even though we reported it to you as not a crime.
Yeah, and I didn't hear about any of that until all this stuff blew up, and now they started reopening some cases and arresting people for stuff.
Have there been any cases where they went and reopened it and went back and said, "Oh no"?
I've talked to a lot of officers about that are working the overtime to reopen these cases and look at the just call complainants. I've heard astronomical amounts of money being spent in overtime. $800,000 some odd dollars. Okay, and just to call the complainants and to see if they still want to prosecute or if it's gone over the statute of limitations. I do know of a single case that a group of officers was working on, and they worked up leads, they worked up suspects, and then they were told to send it back up to the division concern. And the way it is, division concern say it's a homicide or a robbery, I should say. If it's a robbery or an assault, like some of these other specialty units, these crime suppression units can take over a case and work it for them. And the division concern goes, yeah, great. Okay, great. And they go out and work it themselves. Well, this particular case where they had worked up all the stuff had to be kicked back up because the officers were assigned somewhere else. And that case was suspended SL.
Right.
Okay, where it had everything they needed except for a warrant.
Right.
And then when it was reopened and looked at, sure enough, they said it should have been assigned, but it can't be assigned now because the statute of limitations run out. So I know for a fact that happened on one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that what's the chances of it not being hundreds?
Yeah, I'm just curious if this SL code was reported through the NIBRS system as a non-crime event, thus artificially lowering or deflating crime stats, and then that was used by the department to justify asking for more funding from the Department of Justice or the U.S. Congress, really, in some quote unquote crime suppression funding. Well,
when you first forwarded that idea to me, I had some doubts about it. I don't know. No, that seems to be like real evidence, a real link. Okay, and I don't want to just reach out there and grasp and do what the left is doing to Trump. Where they're just
grasping at
straws, making stuff up really, and trying to prosecute him. I'd rather stick with on firm legal ground, and I believe you've hit the
if they've
hit pay dirt there.
If they've transmitted this over by wire to the FBI, Department of Justice, I think that's wire fraud. I mean, I think that you really have to start looking at whether or not if there's any kind of individual liability on any of those people. But when I hear someone like Diana Poore or somebody get on the news and try to say, "Oh, I whispered in Troy Finner's ear this," I don't believe any of that. I think they all knew it. I think they all wanted it. I think they knew that it was artificially suppressing crime stats. I think they knew it made them look better, and it made them look like they were doing their job when the exact opposite was true. I think they're in CYA mode right now.
Certainly.
And I don't believe anything anyone is saying unless, they want to come on this program and sit down for like 2 hours, like we are known to do, and have a thorough conversation about what you knew or didn't know, right? Or what you approved or didn't approve of. But they're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to sit down in a long format interview and actually explain what happened. But I do know this much. None of them should plead ignorance, and none of them can plead ignorance.
Well, I mean, I kind of disagree with you in some way. I do believe that Diana Poore probably did that, okay, because that's how it operates up there. People don't understand that the command staff doesn't operate in a professional where everybody sits down at a table and they forward ideas, no matter how unpopular they may be.
So just to be clear, they don't function like a board of directors like people think. In a corporation.
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never been in a corporation, but you would think that they don't operate like Star Trek. Okay.
Okay.
With Captain Picard.
No, they operate like Star Wars, don't they?
Yes, they do, like the Sith. Okay. It is subterfuge, and I believe that's the only way she could tell the chief would be to whisper it in his ear. Okay. And then she was fighting against this assistant chief or that assistant chief, and they're all fighting against each other, and it's all subterfuge. They go behind each other's back, and they it's like they're having to report to the samurai lord,
Like I would have had more respect for her if she had stood up at a meeting, and articulated to the entire command staff, I don't think this is right. We need to end this immediately. I've written a circular. I'm sending it up the chain of command.
The circular she wrote never said it was right or wrong.
Oh.
All the circular said was the SL code lack of personnel has been changed to suspended. That's all it said. It didn't say it was right. It didn't say, and that's another thing. No one will say this is bad. This is bad. I mean, they're trying to blame it on Jones. Okay. The Finner is the one who is to blame. He either knew about it. He says he didn't know about it when he was an assistant chief or executive assistant chief under Montalvo, who signed off on it. And Montalvo is the one who signed off on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
He was the acting
because
chief.
it was that time. During that time,
Martha Montalvo.
April, I believe, or April or May.
I'd love to talk to her if she's available.
2016, or 2015.
Yeah,
and Finner was an executive assistant chief. So he either knew about it then. He may not have. But then he gave an order when he was chief to stop using the code. And it was not stopped. Whose fault is that? That is Troy Finner's fault.
Well, somebody committed insubordination.
Well, exactly.
Who?
And then even after the story broke, it was still used 44 times. I haven't heard, and don't go blaming the officers.
Yeah.
Okay, don't go blaming they put that SL code right in front of HPD officers. Oh my God. Okay. Who are going to use it and use it till it's gone.
Yeah.
You're going to milk that cow on all four tits. Okay. But the blame lies, and it was not the blame, but the problem lies with supervision. The sergeants don't look at the officers, what they're doing. Okay. And if they go back and tell them, hey, look, open this case. This is wrong. This is right. This is wrong. The lieutenants don't look at all the sergeants and say, hey, these cases shouldn't have been cleared this way. Go back to the officer. And the captain's going, it goes all the way down to the sergeant level, all the way up. And then the command staff is too busy trying to keep their position to say anything. And the commanders or all want to keep their star, I guess, or not be effed off like a couple people we know.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for speaking, saying something, sending an email. Okay. Stuff like that. Okay. They can lose their job, their position like that.
So if you want, I guess in closing, what we're going to say is this. If you want to understand how HPD really works, especially the command staff, you need to watch Shogun.
Exactly.
Because what you understand is they value subterfuge over professionalism. And it's like a dozen or so feudal lords, each with their own feudal position, and they're all trying to protect that position by stabbing the other in the back, right? So the best way to get promoted at HPD is to either go unnoticed and be clean, or to destroy enough of the people around you that you get promoted up to executive assistant chief, right? And then what is that level in Shogun? You know, when you're that.
Well, there's the Shogun, then there's the daimyo.
Yes.
You know, and they got the regents, the lords above, all over their little different regents.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's what you're witnessing with HPD.
Exactly.
Is a perfect kind of Shogun scenario.
It is. It's like,
They don't-
I'm sorry, my lord.
They don't function like a corporation with a board of directors that has meeting minutes, that has, you know, you have to circulate position papers and stuff like that within the corporation to determine what's in the best interest.
They do that. That's the thing, but they do have those minutes. They do. Okay. I'm sorry. They do have those minutes. They do these things. That's why they operate in the secret. That's why they whisper in the ears. Okay, because in the minutes, in the meetings, everything is just, okay, this stat happened here, very good. Okay. It's all official, and it's BS. They do these things. So they operate into subterfuge, into corners, in the shadows.
Trying to stab each other in the back.
Trying to, you know, become Shogun.
So it's actually an interesting soap opera to witness.
Yes, it is.
Nevertheless, we read your comments. So if I may make a suggestion, get yourself a fake email and a VPN, and you can say whatever you want in our comments section. We read them all.
Yes.
And that way IED can't come back on you.
Because they will.
Yeah. And don't trust an IED investigation. They don't have power of subpoena. So they can't subpoena anything, which is why the Attorney General or the Texas Rangers or the Inspector General's office is supposed to be doing this investigation into the SL code. But they don't want that because they don't want anybody with actual subpoena power to be able to get information. Consequently, they're going to let IED do it because IED can't actually do anything to anybody on the command staff, and they know it. So don't trust that. Anyhow, we'll see you in the next video. We look forward to your comments. Like and subscribe. See you later.
Bye.